How y'all doing? Yep, here we go. Live stream time again. And from you guys already, man, I know everybody's doing pretty good tonight. But tonight we're going to be talking about scavenging and repurposing and scavenging, or doing stuff with stuff. Hi, Frank. But this is something, and this is not only for just SHTF, this is like almost everyday life. You can repurpose all kinds of stuff into something else. Hey, Publis. But almost anything you run across, I would say anything, but most of the stuff that you run across can be repurposed and or scavenged. I'm going to start with the repurposing part of it first. Got my notes here. We're going to start with this. Now, I showed some of you guys this over the other chat a while ago. What this is a flashlight, and the reason I'm repurposing this flashlight is the switch, which is right there, is dead. The flashlight itself is about, hey 3D, hey Will, this flashlight here is about 20 years old, and it's served me well up until about 3 months ago when Switch finally decided to die on it. Before I say what I'm going to do with it, there's a flashlight again. Someone just throw it away, I could repurpose this into anything. Give you guys a minute or two here. This is where I was telling some people I have props. So, hey, Pat. But I actually have plans for this. But I want to see what you guys come up with. Any other use I could come up with for this flashlight. Hey, Nina. Oh, go ahead and say Prepper X. Or do you guys just want me to say it? There you go. Prepper X said, I'm going to turn this into a hand fishing rig. Now, there's a couple things I could think of off the top of my head that you could use this for. Because both this side comes off and this side down here comes off. So I'm just going to take the one side off here because I still have to kind of haul it out from here to here because there's an electronic board for the LED in there that I want to get knocked out. But take this off. When I do the hand fishing rig, I can put some hooks, lures, maybe a couple like really small spinners in there. And I can make my whole fishing system, my whole hand fishing system self-contained inside of this. But let's say I don't use it for hand fishing. I'll probably take that lens out. I have a couple other flashlights that lens will fit in. And I'll put just like a little piece of metal in there. Another thing you can use this for is tool storage. Like for drills or auger bits. Smaller drills and auger bits, because you're going to have about down to here for storage. Once I get this hauled out, I'm going to have the whole way down to here to put stuff in. But that's just a couple ideas for that. Yes, it is 3D. It is waterproof. Well, let's see here. We may just try that then. Give me a good reason to take it out. There we go. But I think we're going to move on to number 2 here. Open up my notes. And some of this for the repurposing part. It's also going to work in some scavenging too. So, I think you guys may have seen this little puppy before too. This right here. This is a mason's hammer. We'll try this again. Hey, BC. Anybody have any ideas for this? I have a couple, 2, 3 ideas on other ways I could use it without altering this at all. Keep it up here so you guys can see it. Hey, T-Bear, how you doing, hon? Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking too. It can be used for that. Yes, it is backwoods. And see, the funny thing is I wasn't even thinking about a weapon with this, even though it could very well be used for that. Especially this end here. That could put a hurting on you real quick. The first thing that came to my mind when I had this, and actually the reason why I bought the handle, actually backwoods. Check this out. I don't know if you guys know what they call a groundhog. It's something kind of like this, but doesn't have the hammerhead on it. It's like a small Maddox, like one-hand Maddox that you could dig holes with. So that's one thing I could use this for. The other thing, you hold it like this. I could stick this under something, not too heavy, but I could stick this under something and use it to pry with. So that's two ways other than the intended way you could use this, as well as using it for just a regular hammer and as a mason hammer. So you can get 4 uses out of this thing. This is like a multi-tool without actually having a multi-tool, because you can figure out different ways to use it. Hey, Chris. Exactly, Nina. Okay, this one may be a little funny. A spoon. And this may require just a little bit of cutting with the idea I have, but anybody have any other ideas on how to use a spoon or what to do with a spoon? I mean, if I bend the handle up like this, I can make a makeshift ladle. Not that good a one, but I can make a makeshift ladle. Attitude adjustment too. You know, the Jade, make a shank. How about a fishing lure? Basically, if you look at the shape like this, that's basically a decent sized daredevil, if you know what a daredevil fishing lure is. So that's another idea, surgical instrument. Especially if you need a, now correct me if I'm wrong backwards, but you could probably sterilize this and use this to hold stuff back. There you go. Digging out seedlings is another thing. You don't even have to alter the spoon. It's just a different use for it. I'm getting some more spoons like this for a future video, and I'm going to make fishing lures out of them. First thing I'm going to do is, see where the head's at here? I'm going to cut the head off, try to make a nice rounded cut down here. And I'm going to make like a couple daredevils. These spoons like this, these are metal spoons. You can get 2 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the handle here, like 1 or 2 places. Play music. And people have been doing that for years. I wouldn't say one of the component, but you hear a lot of these spoons in bluegrass music and in other country music too. See, kind of gets stuff that kind of gets the juices flowing, now, doesn't it? But from the handle, you can make what they call vertical jig too. It's not a jig that horizontal goes up and down vertical, or I should say a horizontal jig. It kind of swims. You may be right. Maybe right on that Prepper X. I'm not sure. I've heard of it myself, but never seen it done. So, but let's move on to the next one here. And the next one I don't really have any prop for, but one that something that's going to be laying around now after SHTF, well after SHTF, well before SHTF is cans, aluminum pop cans, soup cans, vegetable cans, like a pop can. Two things I could think of. In fact, hang on here. There we go. Can. Yeah, Bill got a good one there. Stoves out of cans, and like the soup cans work real nice for that, and these actually work nice for like an alcohol stove. You can make an alcohol stove out of this. Boil water, make soup in it. Another thing, if you have tea lights, is you take the can, you cut the can like this, you make a couple cuts like this, and you open it up. You set your tea light on the inside. The inside of the can acts like a reflector for the tea light. So you could use this to make light with like a little tea light candle. Make lures too. That's another one. And these cans, in the soup cans work better, but these cans, if you cut out a big enough piece and you fold it over enough times, you can make an arrowhead out of this. It's only going to be good for one or two uses, but you can make a pretty effective arrowhead out of this stuff too. So, I mean, these things now, during SHTF and well after SHTF, are going to be laying all over the place. So this is a resource that will come in very, very handy. Extremely handy. And you could probably, we had what, just on the can alone, about 6-7 uses. I'm sure you guys could probably think of about 8 more. There you Backwoods has a good one too. A little heater. Cut the bottom half of the can off, put a roll of cardboard in it, and pour wax on it. Boom, small heater. They work good. 3D Tripper has a good one. Cans on a string. Prepper X is another good one. Good for carrying fishing worms. Bait carrier. And not just worms, is you cut the top off it and make a way to put like maybe like a piece of cloth over with a rubber band, minnows, or just about any other type of bait you want to put in here. But let me see, what's the next one here? Yeah, so there's a well, you could do that too, Jay. Actually, what's funny is that stuff will actually work if you hold the string tight enough. You can barely hear what you're saying, but the vibrations move down string enough you can almost hear it. So we'll stash stuff in the ground such as fire starters, etc. Yeah, as I said, there's a ton of uses for these things. Let me put this back in my recycle. Because the one I can't do a prop in, because I don't think my parents will like me dragging a pallet up the stairs, is pallets. Pallets is another thing. Message drop is another good one for the can. Another real good one for the can there. Actually, that's not a bad idea, Nina. And somewhere down the line, I actually found a way to melt them down too, without actually having to go out and buy a big furnace to do it. But I'm going to move on to pallets here. Now, pallets is another thing that you're probably going to scavenge if you don't have any laying around the house. Utensils is a good one for cans. Wind chimes is good. Hey, and one thing about wind chimes, everybody thinks, well, why would you need wind chimes during like SHTF or if you're trying to survive? If you take a step back, first of all, making those wind chimes will keep your mind occupied, maybe keep your mind off things like to think clearly. Second of all, if you like wind chimes and they kind of calm you down, it could be a little bit of a morale boost for you too. Yeah, see, I used to have a ton of those things too. There's aluminum bottles. Not only does beer come, but Venom. This Venom energy drink came in those too. This different cans could be used to make a splint, or if you take that can there and you roll it up and flatten it out, they'll really stiffen it up. That aluminum, the more you kind of double it over, increase it, it'll it'll it it'll stiffen up. Like if you fold in half and crease it, it'll stiffen up, and you fold in half again, it'll stiffen up almost 4 times as much. So, but as I said, let's move on to pallets. What can you guys think of with pallets? And I'm gonna you guys can run wild on that. Um, yeah, just in time, just popped it out right there. I've seen people make I wouldn't say houses, but they made decent cabins out of pallets. In fact, if you guys ever heard of TA Outdoors, he's here on YouTube. Go watch his pallet cabin build. It's cool. I don't think the other thing I think they spent money on was the wood burner. They got a brand new wood burner they put in it, or I don't know if somebody donated, but that's the only thing I was actually any money spent on it. Yeah, backwoods has no pallets. Pallets are your lumber source when milled wood is gone. So dimensional lumber. Yes, old army boxes. That's another one. They could be used for anything. I've seen those army boxes used for toolboxes, electronic boxes, coolers. Yeah, coolers. I seen somebody take a couple of those old wooden ammo boxes, not the metal ones, but the wooden ones. Hey, just and made a radio out of them. It's cool. Hey, Rachel. Yeah, but I've seen pallets used for making tools. I've seen someone use pallet wood and made a shave horse out of the pallet wood. Oh yeah, TA has some really good stuff. So I mean, if you guys never checked him out, check him out. As long as check out the people that's over here in the side chat too. I mean, there's all kinds of awesome people over here. Yeah, I mean, the mind just runs wild. It's like I've seen people. As I said, I've seen people make shelters, shelves, decorations, furniture, you name it. I've seen people make it out of pallets. So we'll move on to the next one here, which is I don't have any of these either. Is glass bottles and jars. Now, of course, you could keep liquids in them, small parts, as long as it's not a mason's jar with a ball top on it, because mouse will lose their shit. But I don't, Keith. Um, but in particular, bottles I was thinking about are like your beer bottles, your brown beer bottles. Weapons is another one. Almost all of these, except for the plastic bottles. I'm sure you can find a way to turn a plastic bottle into a weapon too. But I digress. um, the beer bottles and the color bottles. one thing I was thinking of is making tinctures. And you can make a tincture in just about any bottle, but a lot of times you don't want the sun or the light to get into the bottle, and that's where that colored glass comes in. It keeps more light out, and it actually lets the tincture do what it needs to do. Cutting and scraping is a good one, Mickey. I mean, if you find broken glass, that glass can be a tool for anything. Now, here's another one that many people overlook. It's a kind of a lost art now. You can nap glass like you can nap flint and make arrowheads and all that other stuff. Oh, Will, you made monetization. Congrats, buddy. Yes, I know a couple people who nap glass too. In fact, I want to try that. Um, and I have a couple pieces of broken white glass that I was going to try that on. And the way I look at it is if I screw it up, it's already broken glass to begin with. So I'll just throw it out and try again, right? I've got to remember that 3D. I have to remember that. Oh, the white glass that I found, Jay, is probably from the early 1900s. So it's the old stuff. It's laying in a creek down there. Already pulled some out, but there's a bunch more laying in the creek behind the house. So yeah, I kind of agree with 3D on this one. I've seen gopher holes break horses and cattle's legs. There's a time and a place for them, but not in my pasture. I'll tell you that much. That don't jive with me at all. So we'll move on to the next one, which I do have a prop for. Plastic bottle. Any ideas for a plastic bottle? Come here, little gopher. Got a present for you. Now, with these, I have a couple ideas for these things too. String in a cup is one. These bottles like this, if you cut this part off here and just start looking just very shallow cut that will keep kind of digging in the more you turn the bottle, you can make cordage out of these. You can make a fish trap or a crawdad trap out of these. Water filter, a 3-part water filter. Take 3 of them, you hang them up upside down. Cut this much of it off and have a way to hang it. You put rocks in the top one, you put sand in the middle one, the bottom one you put your activated charcoal. You put a hole in the lid, and you first put a piece of cheesecloth over it. You put a hole in the lid and you screw the lid back on to hold the cheesecloth in. But you turn it over upside down, and you dump the water in the one with the rock, like the small rocks in or the pebbles in it. It'll go down through there, hit the one with the sand, filters out some more, and hit the activated charcoal and filter out. And I'm not saying it's going to be perfectly safe to drink, but it gets most of that bad stuff out. Hey, Kaylin. Fly trap's another good one. Silencer for the pistol. Yes, you can boil water in these things too. If you have it full of water, you can put this thing in the fire and the water will keep it from completely melting. And you can boil water in this. You can carry fuel in these things too. But like Backwoods said, don't mix them up. Taking a nice big swig of 87 is not going to be a good day for you. But again, between us and you guys there, between me and you guys there, I should say, came up with a bunch of different uses just for a plastic bottle. Okay, what we got here next? Fishing line. I mean, most larger streams that you walk past, or any body of water, basically, you're going to find some fishing line on it. Some's going to be good, some's going to be bad. The bad stuff you're pretty much going to be throwing away because it's brittle. As soon as you handle it, it's going to break. But if you find some decent fishing line, we're talking about the cans and the bottles and everything. First thing I thought of with the fishing line, since it's like the monofilament is pretty much invisible in the dark, is an alarm system. That's the fishing line is what you use for the tripwire. They hit the tripwire, they get the cans and the bottles are going and making all kinds of racket. Bingo. Just what I said, Will. Me and Will are on the same wavelength here. Oh yeah, another thing. Talk about that. That just reminded me. My mother uses a ton of these bottles. She leaves the caps on them. We have a couple. Well, they're plastic, but they look like terracotta pots that are about that big around. They're about 3 foot wide at the top. But instead of dumping the whole thing full of dirt, we'll fill 3/4 of the way up with these bottles just to take up space and make it lighter and actually easy to move. I mean, when you keep the caps on, you throw them in that pot. This is a lot of airspace that has no weight whatsoever, so it makes things a lot easier to move, and you're not using quite as much dirt, and everything still grows the way it should. So that's a good idea, Nina. I like that. And I've seen people do that. They've taken bottles like this, or actually more like the 2 liter bottles, got a ton of them and made a raft out of it. Now that's another one I didn't even think of that Preparexis came up with jug fishing rigs, and they use those a lot on the swamp. It will degrade over time, but for repurposing and scavenging, what you find is what you get. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you put your string on there, you got your bait down here, you just basically drop this thing in the water and it does all the work. You just come back and check it later and see if you got a fish on it or not. But here's one for you. Other than the obvious weapon. Now this is cheap, it's $1, but it's just a crowbar. Anybody have any ideas for this one? Now this is not something that you're going to alter very easily, so you're pretty much going to be using it as is. And other than the prying of it, hey Chris, how you doing, man? Other than prying with it and tearing stuff apart, one thing I was thinking about with this, especially if you have to hand something up like a pack or something, you can use it like a hook. Reach down, grab a hold of it, pull it up, pull your pack off or whatever you're picking up with it. You can use either end to dig through logs too. This end or to this end, a rotted log, like let's say you're looking for bait, grubs, what have you. you get a rotted log, even this little thing's going to do a number on it, a serious number on it. So you can get into it and do what you need to do. And just what Will said, universal key. You can get in almost any wooden door with one of these things. Break open Timo Shack. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, you can use this as an anchor point too. If you got something close enough together, and you need like two uprights close enough together, it has something sticking out. You can put a rope around this. You got an anchor. We have to find Timo Shack first, and well, I could say something, but I'm not that mean, so. Yeah, there's another one, manhole lid lifter. Um, because let's face it, like especially if you're in town, this may not sound like the best idea, but more than likely you're not going to be getting any easy movement on the streets in town, whether you're walking or driving. Now, if you hit the sewers, if you have a map and you hit the sewers, you may be able to get some more mileage. Just saying, they can't stop what they can't see. Yeah, that's another good one for the wood stove. Lift up the lid of the wood stove or your Dutch oven. Turn on the water faucet. Just quick question, Mickey. How are you going to turn on the water faucet with that? That's a new one on me. But I'm not saying it's not possible, but that's. Oh, okay. Gotcha. That. Whoa. Just went. Whoa. That's another good idea, Kaylin. No, Kaylin said another one I didn't think of. Build a fire reflector in camp. Slip the crowbar between the logs of the reflector and hang the pot on it. Instant pot hanger. Okay, I got you, Mickey. And let's see, we did the fishing line, did the crowbar. Here's one, and I don't have one handy right now because I blended it out. I only paid $1 for it, so if I don't get it back, I'm not too broken up over it. But how many of y'all seen the mesh clothing bags? Like you take your dirty laundry to the laundromat in? Yes, that backwards to think like I am. The universal door key for the crowbar. But back to the mesh bags. You ever see those mesh bags you take your dirty laundry to a laundromat in? Another good one, Jay. Meat hanger. Yeah, pretty much a ditty bag. I had one that had like quarter inch. That's like quarter inch mesh, but you guys should put wet clothes and stuff in it so it could actually handle the water. And Mickey just basically said what I was getting ready to say here. Me and Mickey's on the same wavelength here. A sign net for fishing. Because that thing, when you open it up, it will almost lay flat when you open it up. So you can get it on the bottom, like on the bottom of the lake there, You may have to put a couple pieces, small pieces of rope on the handles. That's a good one, Lou. But if you get if you put a little bit of bait in there and get some fish over that bag, you pull up on the ropes and it closes the bag up around the fish, and voila, you got about 3 or 4 fish for dinner, just like that. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of practice to get it done, but it gives you good net to go fishing with. If you take and you open it up a little bit more, it could be a deterrent. In the dark, there's something. If you put that up in the dark, especially if it's a dark color and you don't see it too well, and somebody walks right into that, they're going to think it's going to slow them down. I'm not saying it's going to stop them, it's going to slow them down a little bit. It's going to be a little bit of a deterrent and maybe buy you a minute or two. So. Let me see. I got one other one here. And this just kind of came up. A stacks container. I don't really know what I'm going to use this for. I'm putting auger bits in this, which I got the auger bits in my lock box over there. But yeah, Jay, that's actually a good idea, especially if I've seen the strongest man be deathly afraid of a spider. So if they think they're walking into a spider's web, you're going to holler, freak out, get thrashing around, maybe get themselves tangled up in it. That's what was in it. And it would work very well for that. I should know. I took all the lays out of that and put them in my stomach. See, that's another good idea. Nina had another good idea. It's another net idea, but you open them up and sew a couple of them together, and now you got a cast net, not just a sign net where you pick up, but you have a cast net too. Hey, Mary Beth. Hey, Doobie. But with this, you can put your small parts in it. You can do all kinds of stuff with this. Because the bottom's solid. There's no hole in the bottom. Cut it right about here, make a cup out of it. But as I said, I'm going to use this to actually hold auger bits. I'll show you the auger bits. Yeah. Just want to know what's going on, so I had to scratch my dog a little bit too. He's a little bit better today. If I keep him moving around, he actually loosens up a little bit. So, but my auger bits. And do I have a ton of them? See, Kaylin, that's another good idea for it. Put some little holes in it, put it in the water, and put your minis in it. Yes, I do, Jay. I actually got 2 bitten braces. One is actually set up for augers. The other one is set up for drills. The one that's set up for augers is actually a ratcheting brace and bit. Which, I don't know, you guys are kind of giving me an idea for the live stream for next week, which I may do in the basement. It's okay, bud. I better put this up here. You'll probably attack it. But What we're talking here, Jay brought up a good question here. Do you have the brace to go with those bit stickers? Actually, I do. Now, most everybody knows what a brace and bit is. I also have a ratcheting brace and bit. Just in time, Will just had another good idea for this. Put rocks in it, make it an alarm. Not bad, because rocks in these things make all kinds of racket. So you'll hear it. But what the ratcheting brace and bit does, that's what I've set up for the auger bits, is when you use a brace and bit with a drill, you're constantly going like this. What those auger bits does, it has a little threaded part on the bottom before you actually get into your dimensional hole. That runs it down into the wood, and you can run it like this to get down to the wood. But once you hit the wood, thanks, Cindy. But once you get into the wood with that auger bit, like the dimensional part of it, it's going to want to stop. And what you want to do is once it stops, you can ratchet and stay like this quarter from up top to just past probably about the 4 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock. If you're looking at a clock, that's your power stroke on that auger. And with the ratcheting mechanism on that brace and bit, you can stay in that power stroke the whole time. You don't have to force the thing all the way around to come back into your power stroke again. Make a bong out of it. That's not a bad idea if I actually did that, but I don't. So can't help you there. But that's like a little bit of repurposing and scavenging right there. For what I went over so far, anybody have any questions? Good for trepanning. What exact? Actually, I never heard that. What, Tubi? What is trepanning? The tin can makes you hit her bong, man. You put your weed in there. Okay, I got 2 hand drills. I got the little hand drills about this big, like a little egg beater. I got like a big egg beater style that's about a good 18 inches tall. It's 2-speed with an adjustable handle on it. I can adjust the handle out or in depending on how much torque I want, and I can adjust the wheel on it and what gear runs the drive for the drill for either speed or for torque. Um, I got a couple, 3 draw knives. I got a spoke shave. I got an old plane. Just a bunch of stuff like that. I'll tell you what, Kaylin, go to a flea market that deals with if you can find a flea market that has somebody deals with like antique tools in there, you'll probably find one. And they're 9 times out of 10, they're dirt cheap. In fact, when I start going to the tractor shows, I'll keep my eyes open for you if you don't have one by then. Because I picked mine up for I think like $3. Just a little hand drill. Go to town with it. Yeah, but those little those little hand drills come in handy. Which actually brings me. Oh, I got you, Kaylin. I understand there. Actually, we have a yet. It's not mine, but we do have what we call a Yankee drill. Which is the same thing as a Yankee screwdriver, but instead of doing screws, you do drills with it. You're talking about the thing that you push down. You kind of you push it up and down, and depending on which way you have it set, it will either run clockwise or counterclockwise. We do have one of those too. Yeah, those Yankee drills. And I'll tell you what, if you get a good Yankee drill, it'll make a hole quicker than you thought it will. I mean, for a tool that doesn't really look like much, doesn't look like you could do much with it, you can do a lot of work with the Yankee drill in short order. And especially where those things shines, like if you can't get an actual drill, like close to a wall, that's where a Yankee drill will really come into play because you can put the Yankee drill almost right up against the wall and drill a hole straight up and down. With like a power drill or even a hand drill, you kind of have to come at it at an angle. That Yankee drill, you could get probably about as close as you get to the wall is about that far off the wall, but you can be that close to the wall and still make a straight up and down hole with it. Yeah, see, I got, or you mean like a hand drill? I got hand drills and I got braces and bits too. Hey, Juanita. Exactly, Jay. Exactly. That's actually I've always wanted to hit that Tubi, except I don't live anywhere close to Michigan. I live even further away from Alabama, so don't see that happening. But I'm going to about four different tractor shows, so and a couple, two, three of them have some pretty huge flea markets to them. And a lot of those flea markets are nothing but antique stuff. That's why when I go to a flea market, these tractor shows, I really have to watch my P's and Q's because like I go to antique overload. Like, ooh, and I will actually walk through the whole flea market first before I even buy anything. Because if I actually just start buying everything I see, I'll probably be out of money by the time I get to the second table. Yeah, I have to go. Actually, I have to scope out the whole flea market first and come back to a couple, two, three things that really stick out. Because if I don't do that, I'll be broke. I'm just flat out broke. Okay, we still have about 10 minutes left. I actually wanted to cover a little bit more on the scavenging, only for a couple minutes. But other than what we talked about, anything else you could think of that could be scavenged and be put to use? Anything. Hey, FFP, how you doing, bud? Foil hats. Now, one thing you may laugh at this: tires, old tires, especially if you like to plant stuff. You can do like a little quickie raised bed thing with a tire. You could put like a little like herb garden in one tire, another little herb garden in another tire, grow some stuff in this tire over here, some more stuff in this tire over here. Make soles for shoes. That's another good use for them. And with the tires, how about a car? Cars have wheels, especially if you can get the tire off the wheel. The wheel itself would not make a bad fire ring. You could turn it over and use an axle, especially if you have the way to weld. You can turn it over, slide the axle in it, and weld something on the top of it so you can set stuff on it, use it for a stand, or make a seat out of it. You take your wheel back to wherever you are. If you have a hose, bolt it to the side, and it's the place to put your hose at. Oh, there you go, 3D. That's not a bad idea. Wheels make good anchors too. And the whole thing with the cars, let's stick with the car there for a little bit. Let's pull that brake drum off. If you're resourceful enough, you can make a forge out of a brake drum. Now, I mean, this isn't an SHTF thing. You can take a brake drum, you make a little stand, you get the fitting, the pipe, and the fitting that it screws to. You put the like the drain fitting that's like the little holes in it. You put that on the top side of it. It will stick down through, and you can screw on. Hey, CR, how you doing, bud? And you screw a pipe on that drops down here. And when you get down to the bottom of that pipe, you put a little Y on it like this. One side goes straight down, one side angles out. The side angles out, you put another short piece of pipe on it, and like a rubber vent hose that you can seal off on both ends. You put your coal in the brake drum, and you light it. You get all that going. Then what you use to provide the blast for the forge, hang with me here, you use a $5 hair dryer. And, and the hair dryer will be safe because all the heat's up above it, and nothing's going to come down that pipe and go down that angle. Especially if you have the hair dryer on, it's going to go straight down to the bottom. You have a little thing down there. You can pick up the clinkers with it. Just so you can make a forge if you have the pipe laying around, a brake drum. You get a $3 drain top and a $5 cheapy hair dryer, and you just made yourself a forge. Something to think about. Another thing with cars, and I see a lot of people will overlook this, seat belts. The straps for those seat belts could come in handy for all kinds of things, especially if you want to make a backpack and you got old cars laying over there with seat belts in it. But see, look, I like the way Lou's thinking. Find a semi-truck repair shop. They usually have scrap pile of brake drums and wheels. Yeah, CR knows what I'm talking about because I'm still thinking about somewhere down the line. I don't know when. If you guys know what a Trapper Nelson pack is, it's actually a wooden frame pack, external wooden frame pack, and it has pins in it, and there's like a canvas thing that goes on there. You can actually completely disassemble the pack. But for the straps, I was going to use seat belts. And the reason I was going to use seat belts is, especially the old school ones that had the adjusters that you can pull tight, you can put them on, grab the adjusters, adjust that up, and if you have enough of a tail, you can use that tail as a way to attach it around your hips to keep it from bouncing around too much. I'll keep it in mind, Backwoods. A hood? No, depending on what kind of car it is, not every car is going to be like this, but some of these newer cars, the hoods are fairly light on them, and they have a little bit of a curve to them. Like if you look out from the top, the finish side, they kind of curve down. So if you actually can get the hood off, lay it over upside down, make a good sled to move stuff around on. Thank you, Nina. So you can make some kind of sled system from a hood of a car. I would do that with a newer car. I would not go walking up to the 1968 Lincoln and expect to drag the hood because the hood probably weighs about as much as you do. I used to have a 76 Impala. Trust me, that hood wasn't light. There you go. Bo just came up. The fiberglass or plastic fenders would be good to make weapons or tools. In fact, I would stick with like the plastic ones, the ABS plastic. It still stays fairly hard. In fact, to give you a good idea, use the ones off of a Saturn. Oh, there you go, Cindy. See, we used to do stuff like that with like a VW hood, like old bug hood. So now we used to use that for an actual sled to go down through the snow. So Jalen has a good idea there. Reshape one end, you can use that to dig with. Like on Saturns, I used to work for Saturn, and their body panels were in ABS plastic, a really hard ABS plastic, but it was easy to cut. Oh, that sucks, Will. Um, Another thing when it comes to scavenging from cars, take the tools out of it. The jack, because a lot of them had a scissor, like a scissors jack. The scissors jack is one of those ones that has a screw that goes through it. So the more you turn it, it goes like this. The more it goes like this, the more up it goes. Those come in handy. Grab the tire iron. The tire iron could be used to take stuff off the car, pry stuff, what have you. Um, I would take the mirrors off of it. Not like the whole. I'd take the whole mirror case until I figure out how to get the actual glass out. Mirrors work. All the mirrors, the side mirrors and the window mirror. Take them all. See that's another one I forgot all about. Some older Buicks have compressors in the trunk. Any vehicle that has an air ride to it. Lincoln's had that. Cadillacs had it. Some Toyotas had it. So, see you later, Squib. So that compressor could be used for a ton of things. If you could put power to that compressor, that's awesome. If you had Jay has another good idea. If you're trying to build a wind turbine for power, get the generators and voltage regulators. I mean, you're not going to make enough power to power your location, but you could probably get enough power to keep something charged. Maybe run like a small item of some sort. It's a possibility. If not with wind, then with water. Trying to think. The battery is another good one, especially if you do the power generation with the alternator or generator. You're going to need a battery to store the power. Another one. If you, let's say, this has happened to me in the woods. We found a truck laying on its side in the woods. It's been sitting there for years. Not just a small compressor. It actually had an industrial sized air compressor to run tools on it. and it wouldn't be that hard to get that thing off. Just just the cars and trucks alone, you could probably think of about 1 billion different things. But we're at pretty much 9 o'clock, top of the hour. So what the rundown is I believe Nina is going to have the Honey Badger chat tomorrow on her channel at 7 o'clock Central Louisiana time, 8 o'clock Eastern. Spicy, if he's on, he's kind of hit and miss, but when he's on, it's an awesome chat. Is going to be at 6 o'clock Central Louisiana time, 7 o'clock Eastern. Don't know what anybody's going to be doing. Hey, Brett. Oh, I feel bad now because I'm just ending everything right now. But I don't think there's anything going on till Monday, and that's going to be Backwoods at 8 o'clock on his channel, and then me on Tuesdays. But between Friday and Monday, keep your eyes open. In fact, I think Sundays isn't Grumpy doing a chat on Sundays, like about 8 o'clock ish. So keep your eyes open for that. Friday and Saturday, keep your eyes open. You never know who's going to do what. So, but I thank you all for coming. I love you all. Y'all have a great night. You guys rock. Talk to y'all later.